experienced and deep Hare Krishna. We will be hearing from a very experienced and deep devotee. His Grace Sri Rama Prabhu sitting here in front of you. Just like all of us at our age when we are students, in 1987, at the same age, he came in Krishna consciousness. And he was very personally guided and trained by His Holiness Ramaswamy Maharaj. He has an HR consultancy where he has some placements, and he's married to his good wife Kishori Mataji, who's a doctor, and he has one child who's studying in Gopalswara school. He's a very active counselor. He has a very good managing his household life, at the same time making a very powerful contribution to our movement. Prabhuji is on the GBC committee for devotee care, and he travels to countries in Europe, Brazil, Russia, Ukraine, China, and Hong Kong. And he helps establish devotee care-centric communities. Prabhuji also has been very active in the drama festivals, a yearly annual program of very quality dramas performed every year. For several years, he has been playing the lead role and directing very beautiful dramas in that. He's also a very powerful speaker. For the past 5 or 6 years, he has been associating like this every year when we come. He's one of our favorite speakers here. And Radhesham Prabhu, he's one of Radhesham Prabhu's favorite speakers. Several times he's invited him to Pune to give many topics. He's also helping Maharaj in promoting the journey home and other activities outside India. So we are very fortunate to have him here with us. Let us welcome him by 3 times loudly chanting. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji is speaking on evolution in Krishna consciousness. And since all of you have many questions, keep your questions ready. You can either pass chits or we'll be circulating this mic after the class. Thank you.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braj Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braj Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari परिवचकचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद शिवांग्रे श्रील एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadi Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. Panchatattvaatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Mami Hari Priye. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's my very, very great honor, privilege, happiness, and satisfaction to be with all of you today, seeing the different colleges that you represent. It's very, very humbling because these are the colleges that I was aspiring to be in my academic life. Of course, I could never make it, but I'm happy that all of you are coming from very, very prestigious academic institutes of India and taking interest in Krishna consciousness. As we have heard these very, very beautiful words from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nitya Krishna, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabunoy, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karare Udoy. That pure love of God is dormant in everyone's heart. It is there. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karare Udoy. And the process of Krishna consciousness is a process to awaken. When you say something is dormant, the natural requirement is to awaken. So to awaken this dormant Krishna consciousness through the process of Hare Krishna chanting and the whole process of sadhana bhakti. So, and it's also said that this gift is given to us in a form of a seed. And the spiritual master, the Vaishnavas, they water this Bhakti Lata Beej the seed of devotional service. Small seed. Sometimes the seeds are very, very small. But when they are planted, they give rise to luxuriant trees. So this seed is given to us through the process of various outreach programs, outreach activities, and basis outreach of devotees' hearts. The outreach of the heart is exhibited through an outreach program. A devotee naturally feels that I have got something so wonderful, so I want to extend this wonderful thing to others. And there are various outreach programs that are born out of this desires of devotees to give Krishna consciousness to others. And what we are celebrating right now in this month of December is of a powerful outreach through the means of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books and many such activities. So this seed, when it is watered, it grows into a beautiful, luxuriant, or rather it is supposed to grow into a beautiful, luxuriant tree. And this is very precious. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasate Paye Bhakti Lata Bij. So it is that Bhakti Lata Bij, this word comes in this beautiful words, which says that, which shows the tremendous fortune of every living entity, not necessarily only human beings, living entity. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jiva. Like, just going around this block of the city is very tiring. If you don't know where is Radha Gopinath Mandir, and you just get down at some station and you just ask, it is very tiring. You just Brahmite, you just travel, and then you somehow reach here. It's difficult. So imagine traveling in Brahmanda and in the whole creation. It is explained. A living entity, all of us have been traveling since time immemorial, searching for this seed. Isn't it interesting? We are searching for this seed, and we have been traveling since ages, since lifetimes. And then finally, through a Burida Jana, or through a munificent, when we say Burida, it's a beautiful word spoken in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Burida Jana. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kaubirititam kalmashapam shravana mangalam srimadatam bhuvi grinanti ye Burida Jana. The gopis spoke about this in the 31st chapter. That person who is Burida, who is extending himself, is the most munificent welfare worker, Burida. So when people who have the spirit, then you keep in touch with them, come in touch with them, you finally get that seed in your heart. And that's what all of us are in, that situation, that we have got this seed. We're traveling through many, many lifetimes. So it's very, very fortunate. So with utmost fortune comes utmost responsibility. Right? So when we talk about getting this seed in our heart, there are various things that I was asked to speak upon. Various topics that Radheshyam Prabhuji was keen to speak on. But I guess I would combine all of them. Because that's what the overall picture is of the evolution of Krishna consciousness. It's a very interesting topic of when discovered any evolution of the earth. People feel, how do you know that? Anything evolving is very interesting. We like to know how it happened, how this culture evolved from the Harappan culture or the Mohenjo-daro culture, or from this, or from the mummies of Egypt. How this whole thing evolved. The evolution is very interesting, isn't it? And all of you are very, very highly fertile brain people. So for you, evolution is very critically important. How does it happen, man? I want to know. What will happen? So If you begin your journey and you do not know where you are going, you are the greatest fool. You should know where you are going. So where are you all going in this journey of Krishna consciousness? Can you reply? I'm sorry? Back home, back to Godhead. Okay, interesting answer. What else? I'm sorry? Achieve Krishna Prem. Oh my God. What else? Perfect devotion. Yes. To achieve our eternal position, which is servant of the servant. Okay, very good. What else? Towards Krishna. Fine. So, what all of you spoke was wonderful. Achieve Krishna Prem, servant of servant, and which was something which I also heard, and I felt very excited that this is wonderful. But having spent some time in Krishna consciousness, every year I find this more and more lofty. Becoming servant of the servant. Very lofty, very easy to speak, and very, and it becomes like a nice devotee parlance. A devotee have their own way to talk, and if some outsider hears devotees talking, he will be extremely bewildered. And I'll just explain to you how I was bewildered the first time I came to Krishna consciousness. Few days I was old. I went to Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra with the devotees and with His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. And so two devotees were talking, and I was just hearing. And I was, naturally when you are new, you want to absorb everything. What everybody is speaking, I want to absorb. You're like a very, very dry sponge, just wanting to absorb everything. So one devotee said, Prabhu, you are great. Natural, right? Anything, even if you have good motions and you say, I got good motion, Prabhu, you are great. It becomes like a normal talk, you are great, because the natural desire of a devotee, because he is programmed in that way, which is that he wants to take every opportune time to glorify the person, which is very good. But sometimes they take it a bit too. You know what I mean? So this devotee said, Prabhu, I am most fallen. So, now first of all, please understand, never in the world does anyone, 99% of people outside, they ever even say this word in their life even once. I am most fallen. Impossible. And we say it once at least every 5 minutes. If not more. Prabhuji, I am most fallen. I mean, we are nothing less than most. And we just come to the ultimate thing. That I am most fallen, I am most useless, I am most rascal, most this, most that. Right? The Prabhuji, I am most fallen. I am so fallen, I am like the worm in your stool, that devotee said. So I was hearing, and I got a very nice way to describe the fallenness. I said, this is interesting. This is a very interesting way. I didn't read the Chaitanya Charitamrita that time, so I didn't know that this was something which Krishna Kavira Goswami spoke about himself. I didn't know this, but I said this devotee is very poetic in describing his fallenness, because I did see worms in my stool sometimes. So I said this is interesting situation. But sometimes the devotee have this competition of fallenness. I said, how can he defeat me in his fallenness? So the other devotee replied, I was observing. So what is going to be next? So the devotee said, Prabhu, I am like the worm in the stool of that worm. So I couldn't figure out that. I said, how can a worm be in the stool of a worm? But maybe it sounds very poetic, so it is fine. But I learned that this is the style of devotee talking. If you want to talk, you talk like this, people will appreciate you. But on a serious note, do we really understand what are we talking? Do we really comprehend and do we really understand what all things the great souls like Krishna, Kavira Goswami really mean, and what was the situation of their mind, their situation of their consciousness when they speak what they speak, and what is our consciousness when we speak what we speak. So when we think, and what you said was all right and all perfect answers, that going back to Godhead, love of God, and Krishna bhakti and surrender of servant is all perfect. But between the process that we all are, or rather between the situation or the point that we all are, and the point of prema bhakti, there is a huge gap. I'm sorry, this is something disturbing. So there's a huge gap, and that's exactly where the process of evolution takes place. How our devotee evolves. And our acharyas have very beautifully explained Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangota Bhajana Kriyata Anartha Nivritti Ruchistata, and then leading to Prem and Ruchi and Prem and pure Bhava and Prem and other things. I don't even know the few things because it doesn't make sense to me till I finish the Anartha Nivritti, so I don't remember so much of those steps. But yes, that's the goal. Ultimately, we will be Prema Bhaktas. We will be devotees who will be loving Krishna, and by the chanting of Krishna's holy name, there will be tears in our eyes, and there will be our heads standing on ends. That is our aim of life. That's what we want to reach. That when we Nayanam galat ashru dharaya vadanam gadgad rudaya gira pulkaranjitam vapukada tava nama grahane bhavishyati. That's the aim. Right? But the whole evolution is very, very important. So while we are chanting Hare Krishna, it is very, very important that all of you who have been chanting, as I understand the way it has been described to me, that you all have been chanting from 6 months to around 1.5 years, right? So you all are extremely fired up in your Krishna consciousness. Hopefully, yes? Because it is new. I remember when I bought a new cycle, the first cycle I bought, I was every hour cleaning the cycle. Every hour, literally, I went outside and then came out. Some spots here, some spots there, and Sunday was Maha cleaning. I would spend 2 hours just cleaning everything, greasing and everything, just to keep the cycle, taking good care of it. 6 months after that, it was just getting rotten. It was just, there was no air in the tires. My bell was not ringing well, and it was just such a pathetic thing. Why? I do remember even now, even though it was an insignificant thing, but I do remember now connecting it to the situation of the mind, that anything new is very, very interesting and very, very exciting. Even if it is as simple as a cycle, you want to clean it. But when something becomes a little old, something becomes which is mundane, routine, I won't say mundane, but routine, you just lose the excitement which used to be there, because it's part of your life now. Similarly, when you came to Krishna consciousness, when you first heard the class, and I'm sure there was something in the class which hit all of you. And it would be interesting to know, maybe in a different forum, what hit you for the first thing. Oh my God, that's great. This is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. What hit me was when I first heard that, do you want to be like animals? The speaker, Radhanath Swami, was giving his class. That you are a most sophisticated animal. And I said, oh, I don't want to be an animal. And then he explained this whole eating, sleeping, meeting, divine. It made tremendous sense to me. I said, I don't want to be an animal. So like that, everything hit you, something hit you. But then, having spent time in Krishna consciousness, having chanting Hare Krishna for some time, unfortunately, Not that it's supposed to be that way, but unfortunately, the way the mind works is that it takes something very, it takes it as usual, as something part of life, chanting Hare Krishna. Huh? And then slowly we just take things for granted. Things for granted. That it is there, what is so great? You know, I'm a devotee. So initial growth of the Bhaktilata Beej, as we talk about evolution, is quite rapid. It's just because there's intense watering and there's intense humility. As I was explaining to, when I give seminars, I give seminars to many leaders worldwide of our Hare Krishna movement. And I was just trying to quote my own example, not to speak of anybody else, that my own observation of my own consciousness and my own mind is that when we come first to Krishna consciousness, the few first months of Krishna consciousness, our feeling is everybody is a pure devotee and I'm the most fallen. Is that what you feel? Or rather you felt? That everybody is a pure devotee. Everybody here is, they are pure devotees. Because when we introduce, Prabhuji is a pure devotee. Sometimes young devotee, Prabhuji is a pure devotee. Prabhuji is a pure devotee. Prabhuji, you are a pure devotee. Which as a pure devotee is available in kilos in the market. So pure devotee. But then as we spend more time in Krishna consciousness, we realize that not all are pure devotees. But I am fallen. Because as we interact, we realize, this is not the way a pure devotee behaves. So maybe he is not a pure devotee. Many of them are, but maybe he not so much of pure devotee. Little impure. But I am very fallen. As you spend some more time in Krishna consciousness, if you are not rightly situated, if you are not properly guiding, if your evolution is not properly guided, then you realize there are many people who are, forget pure devotees, they are not even devotees. And I am not that bad of a devotee after all, Because, I gave that class the other day. It was unprepared. And people told me that Krishna spoke through me. So how can Krishna speak to somebody useless? So I may be not so bad after all. And the other day I went, they put a garland on me. So how can anybody put a garland on a stupid person? So I might not be that bad after all. And as we further develop in Krishna consciousness, we will understand. If you are crooked, you are worshipping a crooked God, but you don't have to be crooked. You are worshipping a beautiful Lord who is bent in three covered. But sometimes seeing his covered form, we become crooked in our thinking also. Unfortunately, it's Maya. So when we have a crooked understanding, then we start thinking that everybody is useless. Well, I am a special devotee. That's what happens in due course. There are people who suffer from this feeling that everybody is useless. I am the only person who is special. This is a great fault in evolution. Because what is important, just to cite an example, we talk about the great Lord Indra. Lord Indra, he is a very, very worshipable demigod. We can't even dare speak anything against him because we don't have the aukad in Hindi. We don't have the capacity, we don't have the situation, ability to speak anything against this great, great personality, Lord Indra. But you can see that in his situation, he realized that Krishna who is this talkative little boy in Vrindavan, stopping my puja, when we talk about Govardhan puja. So he said, I am Ishwar Aham Bhogi. I am the enjoyer and I am Bhagavan. So that happens in devotees. So in order to really evolve in a proper way, we must be having certain important criterias very very clear in our mind. And we all have heard, all of us have heard, what is Krishna consciousness? Can anybody answer me? If I ask you, what is Krishna consciousness? What will you answer? Always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. Brilliant answer. Anybody else? Engage your senses in Krishna's service. Rishikesh or Rishikesh. Very good. Anybody else? Yes. Connecting everything to Krishna. Very good. I'm sorry? Reviving love of girlfriend. Krishna. Please be specific. Because you are young boys and I can infer many things from your speech. So be specific. Reviving love of Krishna, Lord Krishna. Because there are many Krishna names also. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be little. Anybody, yeah.
Krishna consciousness is the process of heart transformation.
Heart transformation. Not physically. Emotionally and devotionally. Very true. What else? Krishna is supreme enjoyer and we are the servants. Very good. So let us discuss today of what is not Krishna consciousness. For a change. Because we have heard what is Krishna consciousness. But this is fine. Because the problem is that many a times we have a wrong understanding of Krishna consciousness, and we begin with a wrong understanding of Krishna consciousness, then you don't really grow properly. Because in your understanding this is Krishna consciousness, and it is sometimes too late when you figure out, oh, this is not Krishna consciousness. So rather, we have talked this is Krishna consciousness, but what Krishna consciousness is not is very very important to understand also. So is Krishna consciousness, does it mean to be hard-hearted? Yes or no? No. You're sure? But how can we say no to Maya if you're not hard-hearted? Reply, my dear intelligent students. I'm sorry?
That is not good for us.
Why it is not good?
Because it's hindering our Krishna consciousness.
It hinders. So anyway, we are going to address this one point. Is Krishna consciousness being hard-hearted? Because many a times, when we talk about Krishna consciousness, that means Akale ek Ishwara Krishna ara Shakala Bhritya. We heard this, right? And Bengali, many of you from Kharagpur, so close to. Anyway, it means Akale Ishwara Krishna, that only Krishna is the truth, Ar Shakala Bhritya, everything else is false. So when we hear that, the first thing we feel that my parents are false, my studies are false, this country is false, everything else is only Krishna, 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 Krishna. And then, little do we know, but we tend to become very hard-hearted in our practice of Krishna consciousness. We become extremely duplicitous in our behavior. We are very, very soft and gentle with devotees, but very cruel with apparently non-devotees. Did you experience this? Yes or no? And that's, for your kind information, it's called being hard-hearted. Being cruel to others is being hard-hearted. And how many times, I don't want to ask you, but how many times on the pretext of being Krishna conscious, you have been hard-hearted? Now you think 10 times before giving something to a beggar. Should I give? Because you have this paralysis through analysis in your mind. Like if I give karma, this, that, and then by the time the beggar is gone. I remember it was such a skewed understanding I had about my parents that at some point of time, For me, to be Krishna conscious is to do exactly opposite to what parents says. That is Krishna consciousness. That is my understanding. Believe me, I'm serious. I'm sharing with you, and for many of you are laughing, but that's maybe what your understanding is also. That to be Krishna conscious means not to do what the parents says. Because they are in Maya. They are non-devotees. And we have nothing to do with people who are in Maya. And even if that means Radha Gopinath, Bhagwan ki. So we become very hard-hearted in our dealings. And very, very duplicious. And that's why, there is not much substance in our growth. So while we are evolving in Krishna consciousness, we have to understand a very important aspect, that the importance of normalcy in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means that we cannot be hard-hearted. A devotee is a very soft person, and he cannot be hard to anybody. But just imagine, the most personal philosophy of Krishna consciousness many a times makes devotees the most impersonal in their dealings. People see dealing a sick person as Maya. I mean, that's normal human behavior to help a sick person, to help a poor person, to help a lame person. If you learn in your modern science classes in your school, isn't it? It's just normal moral behavior. But we become many times, not that we all, but we may be becoming very hard-hearted in our dealings and giving justification that I am Krishna conscious. To help with your Krishna consciousness if it makes you hard-hearted. That's not what Mahaprabhu Chaitanya meant. That's not what he wanted us to be. So many times we become very, very hard-hearted. Number two, many times we become very, very careless in our occupational, academic and other duties, thinking them to be Maya. And then we hear this beautiful song, Bhakti Thakur, that all this knowledge I've been carrying, I become a big ass. Right? Vidyarela Vilase. You heard this song? Please hear it. It's dedicated to all of you. People who are students. It just beautifully explains that this knowledge has made me nothing but a big ass. So when I heard this song, I said, I don't want to be an ass. So to hell with these studies. So I flunked in my semesters. I said, this is Maya. And I was returning back from a yatra, I remember. And then I was going to get my result as soon as I was returning back from a yatra. So I spoke to Radhanath Swami. I said, Maharaj, should we be attached to the results? Maharaj said, no, we are detached from the results. I mean, he answered because I asked and he said, you should be detached. And I took it like, we should be detached from the results. So I'm not attached to my result. But my dear friend, karmane vadikara, you first do your activity as if you are attached and then you become detached. That's what Krishna says. But you just take the half the hen, ardha kukutaniya hai. He just use the one half of the words, so you should be detached. But that's if you have really worked as if you are attached. But if you are anywhere detached from your working also, then obviously you can't be attached to your result because you know what the result is. Right? So many a times we become very, very careless in our academics. Why I'm talking about academics because all of you are students studying. But as our Goswami, Rupa Goswami, who is our Sampradaya Acharya, he says, a devotee, whatever he does, even the smallest of small things, he does with utmost precision and utmost dedication. Anything he does. That means a devotee is a very, very exemplary son, is an exemplary student, is an exemplary citizen of a country, is an exemplary devotee. Everything he does is very exemplary. But many a times, my dear friends, we forget, or rather we just make a compartment in our life. This is the devotee compartment and this is the non-devotee compartment. So when I'm in a devotee compartment, I am going to be very nice. Oh Prabhu, Hari Bol, how are you? All these things. And when you are in non-devotee compartment, to hell with you, you are just like a dog barking. I mean, there's such a duplicitous behavior and such a facade that you create of yourself. Yeah? You cannot be duplicitous all the time. Right? So please understand, if you grow with a skewed understanding of Krishna consciousness, then you end up becoming a big liability to yourself and to the devotee community that you are staying. Because, if the foundation is skewed, if foundation is not properly made, then you grow with a wrong understanding. So I wanted to just drive the important point, and that is the way I was so fortunate that the Radhanath Maharaj and few of the senior brahmacharis and few of the grihasthas trained me as a student when I was a student, that whatever you do with utmost precision. I remember, I would like to share a situation that I was not doing good in my exams. Giving this understanding that, I am Krishna conscious after all. I was chanting sometimes 32 rounds and 64 rounds and I was doing all sorts of things. But I was completely, horrible in my studies. So I got instruction from my spiritual master. I said, for everybody else, I will tell them to come to the temple. But for you, you are not allowed in the temple. That was instruction to me for 1 year. I want you to study at your home. And I said to my spiritual master, I said, but I miss my deity worship. And I was doing arti, I have 6 artis, 4 artis out of 6 sometimes. And then he said, if you are doing your service, you are much more on the altar than the pujari. You are much more on the altar than the pujari doing the altar, because you are doing your service, because you need to have a proper understanding of your responsibility to do the needful at that point in time. And I have seen as we grow in, as I am trying to understand Krishna consciousness, that it is very, very important that we behave rightly in a given time, place and circumstance. How many of you, I'm trying to describe a situation and you have to explain to me whether it is Krishna conscious or not. If you get a job under your boss is from one of the fanatic religions of this world. I will not describe which one, but I guess you know. He is part of that fanatic religion. You are not allowed officially to practice your Krishna consciousness, and you are on a very senior position in that job. So you are very much responsible for all the things that he does. You are responsible for it. How would you call that job? Is it a good job? Yes or no, my friends? Be loud, be loud. You're sure? Yes. But that was the job that Rup and Sanatan took. The Goswamis that you worship on the altar. That was the job they took. And why? Let's analyze it. The situation was that Bengal and Orissa, Bengal especially, was under the Muslim ruler Nawab Hussain Shah. And he told them that you are so qualified. Rup and Sanatan were so qualified. He said, if you don't work for me, then I'm going to create life miserable for the Vaishnavas to practice their Krishna consciousness. And if you do work for me, I'm going to help you. And there will not be any restrictions for the Vaishnavas to practice their Krishna consciousness, and they can practice it. I will not stop them. but you have to work for me as the chief minister and the revenue minister in my kingdom. That means to be party to everything that he does, and to be top in their work. And he was just so happy with Rup Sanatan, Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. He was just so happy that he gave unlimited gifts to them because they were doing their job so perfectly. But in their hearts, they were writing letters to Lord Chaitanya. Not in the heart only, but they were actually writing that when will we give up from this situation? But at the given point of time, not for just 1 or 2 years, for many, many years, they were staying at Ramakeli, taking up this job under a very, very difficult boss, in a difficult environment, and not able to practice Krishna consciousness the way they wanted to practice. They created a hidden Vrindavan, Kanak Vrindavan, where they would have Radhakund and Shyamkund. They couldn't practice it in open. Very difficult situation. But Rup and Sanatan took this, and at the right opportune time they gave it up, and they became Goswamis. Taktva Turunamase Mandalapati Shrim Sada Tuchhavat. They gave up everything. But at one point of time they were dealing in money, they were dealing in politics. They were hardcore politicians, please understand. They did the needful for what? For the larger service of the Vaishnava community. They had a very broad understanding of the Vaishnava community. Many times as devotees we have a very, very narrow understanding of how to serve Krishna and how to serve Srila Prabhupada. There's unlimited opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada. But if you make it very, very narrow, then I can serve only if I can do this. Then we see everything else a very, very mundane, which is not the case. Because that's not the way our acharyas do. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was serving the Britishers. Why I'm saying all these things is, many of you, after your studies, after your graduations, after further studies, you will be on a crossroads of deciding what you want to do in life. And one part of your mind will say, let me just be, just doing something Krishna conscious and, do something small because I don't want to get affected by the Maya around me. I want to just be, there's one way of doing things, which is okay. But many of you have unlimited capacity to do powerful devotional service for the glorification of Krishna and glorification of Prabhupada and upliftment of mankind. And for that, you will need a more broader understanding of Krishna consciousness. That means preaching through various innovative, powerful, dynamic outreach programs. So while you are growing in your Krishna consciousness, you must appreciate the great life of acharyas like Rup Sanatan and say Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a grihastha working under the Britishers. As Indians we know that we hate the British Raj. We hate what they did to India. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, I'm sure, was not happy with what they were doing to India. But at the situation that he was in, he was just working for the English government just so that he could do dynamic work of excavating the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. Because if you are a deputy magistrate, then you have power. And when you have power, you can do many things. There's one devotee who was in the VTA. I don't want to name him to embarrass him. He joined the police force. He had to join. He was trying for being administrative in the IAS or something, IAS, but he got into IPS, which is a next grade. I said, oh my God, police. He was not so happy. But the devotee said, no, go ahead, do it. And now he's on a very significant position in one of the nearby areas of Mumbai, on the outskirts of Mumbai. And he's doing tons of book distribution because of his position. He's saving thousands of cows from getting slaughtered because of his position. And he's contributing in a very amazing, dynamic way to Srila Prabhupada's mission. So on one side, you can be a professor in a college and preach. That's wonderful. But that's not the only way you can preach. Are you getting it? It's not that we all have to be professors in a college because we want to be a little protected. There are wonderful ways. So my point is, Krishna consciousness is what it is not. It's that we can't be hard-hearted. We can't be very narrow-minded in our Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness is very, very broad. Prabhupada said in one statement, and Govind Prabhu was quoting it the other day, he said, there is no service which is abominable in Krishna consciousness. No service. There's anything that you do, of course in proper guidance, not that anything, but under proper guidance, you can serve Krishna in a most amazing way. So while you are evolving in your Krishna consciousness, what is important is to have normalcy in Krishna consciousness. I was just reading Chaitanya Charitamrita today morning, just coming here. I just opened, it was on my phone, and I opened something. And I said, and there was I read 3 verses, because that's the only time I had. Just 3 verses. And then it was explained that Subudhi Rai in Vrindavan would cook rice for the Bengali devotees who would come to Vrindavan. Do you know the story? It's a very simple thing, that Subudhi Rai was a Bengali, and the way he was serving the devotees, where he would cook rice. Because in Vrindavan you don't get rice. It is a a prominent wheat eating place. They eat wheat, roti. And Bengalis are used to eating rice. So you would get the top quality rice and cook for the devotees. So then my station came, I had to get down. And then I was thinking, this is very interesting. I said, we cannot be abnormal. If you are a Bengali, you will remain a rice eater even if you are a pure devotee. Are you getting the point? It's not that Subhira said, you should be transcendental now. What is this rice, roti, sab maya hai. But no. He knew that Bengalis and all devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were pure devotees, Nitya Siddha devotees of the Lord. But because they were born in Bengali houses, they were rice eaters, and they provided them rice. Otherwise I was thinking, why should this be in the CC? This story of rice cooking. CC which is the PhD level study of Krishna consciousness, but to understand the normalcy of a devotee. You don't, when you become a devotee, you don't become a superhuman. Many times you say, now I'm a devotee. We have, I saw many years back, that when that Spider-Man, from a normal person becomes Spider-Man, right? So he becomes, and then he starts doing. So from a normal being, he becomes Superman. So it is not that when you start chanting Hare Krishna, and then it is like that, that He-Man would come, He-Man, said, by the power of Grayskull, I am power, and then he becomes a He-Man. You know this? I saw it many years back. Maybe it is not so relevant because maybe many of you were not born during He-Man. He's still there? Oh, he's still there, okay. Because I saw this, and he would just take out his sword and put it in the air, and then he would say, by the power of Grayskull, I am power, and then he would become He-Man. It's not that when you put your hand in the bead bag and say, by the power of chanting! And then you become something very, a macho man. It's not like that. It is not that a devotee becomes suddenly, and then he hates everything non-Krishna consciousness. He's just, no, not like that. Are you getting the parallel? It is not that you become a Superman or a He-Man or a Spider. It can't be a Spider-Man. But don't become a He-Man or He-Woman, whatever. She-Woman. You don't become that just by chanting. You remain a normal human being. Please understand. You don't have to cease being a human being if you are a devotee. That human beings will have human tendencies. The negative ones, we have to curb them, no doubt. the human tendencies which are negative, which are a deterrent to your Krishna consciousness, that's something which you need to curb by Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairyas. That was one of the topic that Radheshyam Prabhu wanted me to speak on. By practicing with determination, by enthusiasm and patience, you need to curb these tendencies. But at the same time, we all are born with certain human inclinations. Somebody is naturally inclined to doing something for the country. I'm just saying, somebody is just he's having a family of people who are from the army, for example. I know of people who are devotees. His whole family, his father, his grandfather, they're all from the army. And naturally he has this, but he's so confused, he was rather. So, Prabhu, country is Maya. Bhaktisiddhanta told Prabhupada that, freedom can wait and all these things. He was so confused. I said, no, if it is naturally your desire to do something for the country, Krishna-ize it. It is not wrong to serve your country, and through that serving Krishna, of course under proper guidance. Similarly, whatever there is your inclinations are, remain a normal human being. So if many of you have inclinations to get married, for example, in due course, not now. And it's very inspiring to see glowing, dynamic examples of Radheshyam Prabhu's renunciation, Gaurang Prabhu's renunciation, and many of the brahmacharis who are guiding you. But you do not have to curb your normal tendencies. And if your normal tendencies are to remain a brahmachari, then be normal. My point is, you don't have to artificially start thinking about Krishna consciousness to do something. It is a normal way of living. Adding Krishna to it. Krishna lived normally. Please understand. Even your own Lord Krishna, he lived normally. He married. Did he marry? 1, 2. So many marriages. He got up and he would meditate upon himself by the sound of the rooster. He would get up and meditate upon himself because he had nothing else to meditate upon. Unfortunate, right? I sometimes feel Krishna is really unfortunate because nothing to meditate upon. We are so fortunate that we have him to meditate, but he has nothing to meditate except for maybe sometimes Srimati Radharani that he meditates upon. That's a different thing. But he would meditate upon himself. And then he would go to his Sudharma to do his normal duties. When Krishna left Vrindavan, that was the beginning of his karma. Vrindavan was a rasa leela, it's rasa tattva. But when he left Vrindavan, and he said, the world is waiting for me, and he engaged into all the normal activities that a human being does. And at one point he was misunderstood doing the Shamantaka jewel. Krishna was misunderstood. Can you imagine this? We all crib. Oh, people don't understand me. People are misunderstanding me. But who are you? Krishna was misunderstood. He was wrongly accused that he stole. Can you imagine? Krishna was the original jewel thief. You know this movie. Maybe many of you are not born also. There's a jewel thief movie. Don't watch it now. The original jewel thief was Krishna. That when you read Shamantaka jewel, Krishna was accused to be a jewel thief. That he stole the jewel, and Krishna had to work to proving him that I didn't steal it. Here is the jewel, and he did a whole pastime. In the bargain, got married to two ladies. No, Krishna doesn't do anything uselessly. Bolo Krishna Bhagwan ki. This is the glory of Krishna. Just so astute and perfect in all his leelas that nothing goes vain. Everything exciting. Every minute, every second of his pastimes are super exciting. Here he's gone there to prove himself that he didn't steal. And in the bargain, he gets married to Jambavati, the daughter of Jambavan. And then he comes back and he gets married to Satyabhama, the daughter of Satyajit. He has the two most prominent queens in this whole bargain. He gets married. That's the glory of Krishna. The amazing God that we have to worship. Which religion makes you worship such a God? who is so exciting. Every minute of his life is so supremely exciting. So fortunate we are that we are worshipping Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So being normal in your behavior. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to East Bengal to earn money. Please understand, and that's where his wife died, Lakshmi Priya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord of the gods of fortune. I mean, what is the need for him to earn money? But it is written, he went to earn money. So it's normal. And of course, who can be a more renounced person than Lord Chaitanya? He's a supreme Paramahansa. We talk of Paramahansas. But who is the supreme Paramahansa? Lord Chaitanya. Can't be a greater sannyasi than him. But when he was a grihastha, normalcy. Srila Prabhupada, very, very normal person. So why I'm saying this, because many times I see these traits of abnormalcy in younger devotees. And they evolve with this abnormal understanding. And as is explained, that if a flight which wants to go to one place, if it is in 1 degree wrong at beginning, it reaches some completely different destination by the time it reaches a destination. Because at the beginning has been a wrong 1 degree difference. If you don't go 324 degrees, instead of that you go to something else, 323. Beginning is only 1 degree, but the difference keeps on widening. And instead of reaching India, you reach Pakistan. It is not the place we want to be. So please understand, when you begin your Krishna consciousness, if you have some skewed understanding, then you start living a life, but then you grow. No doubt you grow, because you will grow. All of us will grow. If we are chanting Hare Krishna every day, we will grow in Krishna consciousness. But if we want to grow as full-fledged, fully grown, holistic, well-grown personalities. Suppose you have a very powerful muscles, and you see a person like that, but you see his face very small. There's a disease like that. The person is you see this part, he's like a strong man. You see his face, he's like a dried grape. Yeah, it's a disease, because his body can't grow. It's just a part of the body is growing. So how strange. That means his brain is completely, body is strong, but brain is dysfunctional. Similarly, many times devotees, they grow, but some aspect of it doesn't grow because of abnormalcy of behavior. And that becomes a lacuna in their spiritual life. It becomes a dark spot, because they are not really given. If you don't give blood to this part, it becomes black and becomes gangrenous, and it has to be chopped off. Is it not? Similarly, you don't give a particular aspect of your personality, a particular aspect of a consciousness, a particular aspect of a living, the right understanding of Krishna consciousness, the life of Krishna consciousness, the blood of Krishna consciousness. If it doesn't go to every aspect of your personality, then that personality will remain very weak. That aspect of a personality will remain very weak. So while we are talking of evolving, while we're talking about being the servant of servant, being normal human beings, that means to do your normal activities, to taking care of your normal responsibilities of life. When you grow with those responsibilities, it might be a little difficult. It is very easy to give up something. It's not so difficult. I don't want to take care of it. To hell with you. What does it take? No, nothing. The person will simply cry. Suppose I'm talking about your parents. Parents say you're useless. I give you up. Fine. It's just so easy. It's just one statement and you just leave your parents. I'm just giving an example of parents. Not that you do that. Or not that you are doing that. I'm just giving an example. It's just one statement. I don't take care of you. But to take care of them is so much more responsibility. They are old sometimes. They are sickly. To take care of them is much more responsibility. So you might not enjoy Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we come in a mood of enjoyment. Puji, maja aa gaya. Krishna consciousness lecture kar raha tha. Arey maja aa gaya. Arey lecture is not for maja, man. A lecture is for purification. And purification can be maja, but it is not maja. प्रभु जी मज़ा नहीं आया. I mean, if you judge everything based on मज़ा आया कि नहीं आया, then becomes very, very dangerous, because then your whole mood is what gives me pleasure, what doesn't give me pleasure. Is it not? But that's not what Krishna consciousness is all about. Krishna consciousness is all about doing the needful. Prabhupada said, do the needful. In a particular time, place and circumstance. Doing the needful. So we must understand that to do our responsibilities might not be so much of a fun, might not be so much of an ecstasy. I mean, there's a yatra to Vrindavan, IYS yatra. Oh, fun, dancing, prasadam, laughing, giggling, and here you have, your mother in the hospital. Hospital life, mother is sick, so much money getting drained out, asking for somebody to give the blood to your mother. Anxiety, tension. And come to that, bliss in Vrindavan, enjoyment in Vrindavan. What will Prabhupada be more happy if you do? Yes? Loudly? Serving a mother. I hope all your mothers hear this. It's easy to say, but do it. I'm not just saying about mothers. In general, any situation which appears to be not very enchanting and spiritually romantic. I use the word spiritually romantic, okay? On the other side, completely bliss, fun, ecstasy, doing the needful. That is what will bring about your growth in Krishna consciousness. And that's normalcy of behavior. Because, my dear friends, this world is not a world of bliss. This world is a world of dukhalaya ashashvat. The bliss you will get when you go to spiritual world. But while you are in this dukhalaya and ashashvat world, you have to do the needful to counteract this dukhalaya and ashashvatness of this world. By being normal human beings. So, when you behave like a normal human being, there is a proper, wholesome growth of your consciousness. And then you gather more and more and more mercy. We do not want to be short-lived devotees, shooting stars, as Prabhupada said. We don't want to be short-lived, that you come with a bang, boom, 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 and then something happens and you are knocked out. But if you are devotees with substance, and the substance comes by doing the needful, doesn't come by doing what is ecstatic all the time, or for that matter, making what is needful ecstatic. Is it not? If what you do, if you just get ecstasy in that. Was Prabhupada in ecstasy when he was struggling for that 1 year in New York? He was. But externally he was suffering. Isn't it? Suffering like anything. Just getting robbed and just... Can you imagine a pure devotee like Prabhupada in New York? Of course, I have never been to that place. But the way we understand, it is such a fallen place. A sadhu like Prabhupada, alone in that place, but he was in ecstasy. It was no external fun. And Prabhupada writes, this is very touching, we have read it. Prabhupada writes in the Jaladutta diary, today is Gaur Purnima. And all my Gaur brothers are celebrating Gaur Purnima in Sridham, Mayapur and Vrindavan. With Bridangas and Kartals and Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hari and other things. He writes. And he says, here I am alone in Jaladutta on Gaur Purnima. So what was ecstasy? Nothing. Prabhupada in that year of Gaur Purnima, no ecstasy, no Mridang, no Kartal. It was like a normal, mundane day for Prabhupada, Gaur Purnima, on that stupid ship. Not a stupid ship, but it was not even a not a cruise ship or something. It was a cargo ship. It was very rough and tough ship, not meant for passengers. Prabhupada was just there. But Prabhupada said, but I have the complete conviction that Bhakti Siddhanta is very happy with me. And then his ecstasy was when after a few years, he had thousands of devotees from worldwide chanting Jai Sachinandan on the streets of Mayapur. That was Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. So please understand, nothing great comes without tapasya. Nothing great in your life will come without the tapasya. And tapasya means to do what you do not like to do, but which has to be done. If given a choice, Prabhupada would have loved to, have a whole 200 people like today sitting when he came to New York, the first lecture. He would have loved to have that. And which preacher would not like to have people sitting for him when he is giving class? Is it not? He would have loved. But that's not the way Krishna did things for Prabhupada. It was very difficult. Right? So let us evolve in our Krishna consciousness with a proper understanding that I must do the needful at this time. I must have a very broader understanding of Krishna consciousness. A Krishna consciousness person is a person who is exemplary in all his activities. A Krishna conscious person, at the same time when he is all his activities, but he is very strict with his practice. Again, I want to just drive that point that you have to be a fantastic sadhaka. That means astute sadhana bhakti. Getting up in the morning, eager to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Telling no to Maya. Practically no association with the opposite sex when you are in this particular part of your life. Very strict with yourself, having the bliss of camaraderie, of friendship and Krishna consciousness, enjoying Krishna consciousness with friendship, but be very strict. I remember the time when I was unmarried, it was amazing fun. It is such a life, just to be with friends. Just to, not that I don't enjoy now, please. Don't take me wrong, I am fully enjoying now also. But I was enjoying that time also. Because it's a different, wonderful, not much responsibility. Friends are all chanting Hare Krishna, doing tons of service. The bliss was in ruggedness. Being rugged Krishna conscious devotee. There was nothing that you would not do. That was the bliss of doing the impossible and achieving the invincible type of thing. That's bachelor life. I won't call it brahmacharya life, that's bachelor life. So being pakka in your sadhana, reading the scriptures, getting inspired. I would read the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan book every month. I remember every month that book I would complete, all the 6 stories. It was so inspiring to read the characters of the Goswamis. I would in the train, I was going to Bombay trains, getting, beaten up. I was going to in college. It was very jam-packed trains, and I would experience great bliss, just chanting the Sadhu Goswami Ashtakam. It was so nice. You are just 6 crore bending form in the train. Difficult, but then you have this wonderful access to these great personalities' lives through these beautiful, songs. That is so. Yes, pakka in your sadhana, pakka in your studies, pakka in your responsibility to your parents, pakka in your responsibilities to your college. No Maya, not giving any inch of entry to Maya as far as possible. She will try to come, but with your camaraderie-ness, being togetherness, not allowing that to happen. Having a broad understanding, tons and tons of devotional service which can be done by all of you. Tons. There's no limit. There's no limit in the power of the youth, and that to the youth of your type, who are so very focused and who are saved from this material holocaust, as Prabhupada explained. You're all there. But please, just have a holistic understanding. Very strict with yourself, but very loving and kind to everybody else. Many times we are strict with ourselves when we are equally strict with others. That is not Vaishnavism. Vaishnavism is very kind to others. Strict with ourselves. With this understanding, with this mood, with this inspiration, You can do tons of work. And then you will evolve slowly into wholesome citizens of this world. Because we are in the world but not of the world. But the fact is we are in the world. Are you getting my point? We are not of this world. We belong to the spiritual world. But the fact is we are in this world. It is important to understand. Many times we just give importance to the second part. We are not of the world. But the fact is we are in this world. That means we are in this world. We have to do things of this world and be Krishna conscious. So be very and the power of brahmacharya is so wonderful. The power of celibacy is so important that you become so sharp in whatever you do. Take advantage of that celibacy. Take advantage of that power that is available to all of you, rather than wasting it, in some mundane pursuits of some fantasy experience which doesn't really exist. A dream doesn't really exist. So when Krishna is 100% real, Krishna consciousness is 100% real, sadhana bhakti is a real process which works, Maya is real, but the pleasures of this material world are completely unreal, or rather it's a fantasy. So why you want to pursue something which is unreal, which doesn't really exist? Better to pursue something which is real, is it not? And that's Krishna consciousness. That's Krishna. Krishna is God. There is a spiritual world. There is Golok Vrindavan. And there is a situation where we are servants of Krishna. And there is a situation that we will become prema bhaktas of Krishna. But before that, there's a whole process that we are in this world. We have to live in this world. So it will be great to see all of you coming out with flying colors in your academic studies. I remember, I want to just share, it's not self-glorification, but I just want to share something which will inspire you. In my second year of my studies, I was very bad in my studies, as I told you. And the third year, I said, my spiritual authority told me that I want you to be topping the university. It was like, for me, it was like the sparrow trying to dry the ocean. It's impossible, right? I was getting 80 KTs in the second semester. What is 80 KT? Maybe you don't know what is 80 KT because you never got them, I guess. Allowed to keep term, mercy case. धक्का मार दे भेज दिया आगे, but it was so poor result. I was getting 80 KTs. Then I was studying, slogging. I said this, and I said you must. And you told me many other things which I can tell you in privacy. And then I was studying. And by Krishna's mercy, by Prabhupada's mercy, by his empowerment, I stood third in the university. And then he was speaking about, my spiritual authority was speaking about it in many places, even in abroad. He was giving me examples. Not that I was so happy that he could use me as an example, as a useless student that I was. But because of some mercy, even a useless person can do something wonderful. And all of you are not useless. So how much more you can do? If you imagine all of you are just topping your universities, if all of you are, topping, in your placements. I'm a placements consultant, so if you get top jobs, and with your dynamic Krishna consciousness, you can create a difference in the world, a serious difference in the world. You're all like Hanumanji, you have forgotten your powers. I'm like Jambavan trying to remind you of your powers. So please, I think take advantage. You are most fortunate. Keep be aware of your fortune and continue with your Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. So I was told to keep some time for question and answers, so we will try to.
You can send checks in case somebody has questions, you can raise your hand also.
You explain different mentality in different stages in Krishna consciousness, then how to overcome that mentality? You explain different mentality in different stages of Krishna consciousness. Okay, that mentality. Yeah, so I think the question is about feeling you are the most fallen and everybody else is pure, and then as we grow, is that right? Whoever is, maybe it is, I understand. So basically, you must understand, there's one story which really makes me feel very inspired to remain aware of who you are and who everybody else is. It's a very simple story that we have always heard about Punara Mushika Bhava. Very simple story. You know, a rat goes to a sadhu and said, I'm in trouble by the cat. Please make me a cat. So be it, the sadhu says. You become a cat. And after a few days again he comes and he says, I'm troubled by the dog. Please make me a dog. You become a dog. Then he says, I get scared about the loud sound of the tiger in the nearby forest. Please make me a tiger. So be it. You become a tiger. The tiger looks at the sadhu, about to devour him. The sadhu says, Punara Mushika Bhava, and becomes a rat. So what is this story related to the discussion? We must understand that whoever we are, it is by the power of the sadhu in your life that you do what you do, the great things that you do. Otherwise, we all are mouse-like people, very insignificant. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki, Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra ki, Shri Gopal ji ki. So we are very insignificant in our in the way we are. But by the empowerment of the sadhu in our life, we are able to do something more wonderful, dynamic, and we will do something more. All of you will do something wonderful. But if you are constantly aware about your fallen condition, about your real condition, that how insignificant you are. There's a Prabhupada said, all you are is insignificant. You are the most nothing. Right? Prabhupada said that. That I am the most fallen. Prabhupada said you are most nothing. You are simply insignificant. Similarly, if you are constantly remembering your insignificant position of your life, then no matter, you might be a neophyte devotee right now, and you might end up being a spiritual master. But you all understand that whether I was a neophyte or I was spiritual master, is all by the mercy of Guru in my life, or the mercy of the sadhu in my life. If I become a tiger, it is not my doing. The sadhu blessed me, and that's why I'm a tiger. Originally I was a rat. And if I act too smart, I will again become a rat. And people have become rats from tigers. There have been we have seen that examples also. So let us be aware of our insignificant position. Then there's no question of any mentality, because mentality is that we are insignificant. And it is not that we have to convince ourselves that we are insignificant. We are insignificant, is it not? Yes or no? Because what is significance in ourselves? What is there? What is really there in us? I mean, beauty, I don't see any beautiful people here so much. I'm just saying, you might be beautiful yourself, but what beauty are you talking about in front of spiritual beauty of the spiritual world? Intelligence? What intelligence are you talking about? Control? What control? You can't even control your own emotions many times. So there's so many things that you think you have, but there's so many people who have something much more than what you have. So just see what people have, and then you realize your insignificant position. Right? So if you have that mentality, and it said, seek and you shall find, knock and door shall open, Jesus Christ said. If you seek insignificance, you will see insignificance. If you seek greatness, you will see unlimited greatness in yourself. Oh, I am so great. Oh, I'm this. See, I did this, I did that. There are some people who love themselves too much. Oh, I'm so nice. Oh, I'm really great. They don't say it because they can't say it in devotee community. But they're convinced about it. But to be aware of insignificance is very, very important. And you, at least in my case, and I can see whatever significant things we may be doing, is all because of the empowerment of the previous acharyas. Otherwise, there's nothing. As I was saying, I was giving my offering to my spiritual master the other time, and I was saying that at one point of time, when I was a young boy, much younger than you all, I was so shy and so stupid, that even when a phone would ring, I was so scared about talking to somebody on the phone. I would run away from the ringing phone because I was just so nervous talking to somebody on the phone. And here I find myself sitting in front of 200 people speaking. Now that's not the original me was that guy who was afraid of picking up the phone. But by some stroke of mercy, you do something significant. But that's not your significance. That's nothing but the significant blessings that you receive because you have remained insignificant. But the moment you think you are significant, then significant blessings will no more be coming in your so-called significant life, and in due course you will really become insignificant. Did it make sense? Because positive repels positive. If you think you are great, then the great mercy will not come to you. But if you think you are humble, which is negative terminology, negative understanding of yourself, you are humble, you are fallen, then positive mercy will flow in your life. Hare Krishna, you are talking about taking big posts in government. I didn't say that. But don't you feel meek devotees should not take them up? Bhavan Thakur and Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami took big positions, but they were pure devotees. What about us? I am just reminded of a story Prabhupada said. I don't know exactly, somebody can correct me. Somebody said, Prabhupada, there are 6 Goswamis, and Prabhupada, you are the 8th Goswami. 12 Mahajans. There are 12 Mahajans, and Prabhupada said, you are the 13th Mahajan, and Prabhupada said, you are the 14th. It is not just a story to just tell and get amused. It's deep significance. You have said, but they have pure devotees. What about us? Why can't? Because just you all said you want to be pure devotees, right? In the beginning of a class, your aim is to become pure devotees. Some of you said it, right? So why can't we become? There's nothing wrong in being pure devotees. Please understand. It's not an offense. I can't be a pure devotee. No, it's not an offense. You might not think you are a pure devotee, but there's no harm becoming one. You will never think that you are, but there's no harm being one. Are you getting my point? So please don't think that, I can't be a pure devotee, it's an offense. People think as if, it's an offense to be a pure devotee. It's not an offense. And that's what we are ultimately aiming for. So I am not trying to say that you take up, everything has to be done under proper guidance, as I said. And keeping your personality, your bent of mind, your meek, as you say, your weak devotees. Or if your weaknesses, your authorities will guide you rightly. But if you have the capacity, why not? And the capacity is not something for you to judge all the time. And please understand the power of empowerment. If you don't have capacity, that's fine. But if you find yourself in the situation, accept it. Yes, Rupa Sanatana were pure devotees. No doubt, Bhakti Thakur was a pure devotee. But if we can serve in a significant way, why can't we take up that situation to serve and do significant service of Prabhupada? I'm not saying everybody starts running to government jobs and taking big positions. I'm not saying that. Please don't take me wrong. But if it is something that is coming to you, and it is your inspiration in your heart, that there is no harm having the desire to do something significant for Srila Prabhupada's mission. And if by taking a senior position in some post, if you can do that, why not? Why not? You should be eager to do that. And you should try to take whatever help you can to what is the right word? To bridge the gap Whatever gaps you have, to bridge it, you take whatever help you can. Whatever deficiencies you have. If you have vitamin D deficiency, you take supplements, right? Body mein nahi ho raha. We are not in the sun, so I have a vitamin D deficiency, for example. So because it is not in my body, I take supplements. So I supplement it from external ways. Similarly, if you have some weaknesses, then supplement it. But do wonderful things if you can. Why not? So please, the take-home message from this lecture is not that you all take big post in government. But if you are inspired, and if it comes, and believe me, if it comes your way, you can do wonderful service through that also. Don't take it as Maya. That's my point I'm trying to drive. Serving at the government post as a devotee, it's not Maya. Of course, you have to do it under proper guidance and use that as a wonderful means of practicing, preaching Krishna consciousness. But it's not Maya. That's the point I was trying to drive. And if you want more details, I think you can meet me personally. How do we make sure we are not drifting off when we are doing worldly responsibilities? We sometimes have this apprehension, so we find not performing this best. See, that's why we have to understand that we have to have complete faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. That if you are practicing your sadhana bhakti well, you have proper inoculation. So, like for example, if I go to the hospital, I might get all the disease. So I'll not go to the hospital and meet any of my friends who are in the hospital. Is that proper understanding? Because you know you're eating well, you know you're doing exercise, you know your body is fit, you go to a hospital without any problems. Is it not? Similarly, why devotee means does not mean that you have complete distrust in yourself in the process. Many times when you talk about distrust in yourself, we actually start having distrust in the process. The process is perfect. If you are following the process, you are properly inoculated. Please understand that. We sometimes are very, very, what is the right word? We become very conscious that I'll fall into Maya, And you are sometimes so over-conscious that you will actually fall into Maya. You understand? If you are constantly saying, abhi gir jayega. Huh? Life, you can't live a life like that. You have to live a normal life. That's not normalcy. You can't be just, what is the right word? You can't have some phobias for things. A guy who has phobia is abnormal. People have different type of phobias. So that so many varieties of phobias are there in the world. Similarly, Paranoid. You're just paranoid about things. But a devotee, he knows that, okay, I am insignificant, but Prabhupada is supremely great. My spiritual authorities, my spiritual master is great. Krishna is great. When I chant his holy names, I have all the power of the holy name behind me. And I have tried to chant my rounds as sincerely as possible. So I have the power behind me. So Krishna will help me. Krishna is wanting to help his devotee more than the devotee wanting to take his help. Please understand that. Why are you forgetting the role of Krishna in your life? Don't you have faith in Krishna? You just have faith in yourself. What about Krishna factor in your life? What about the K factor as we call it? The Krishna factor is playing in devotee's life. Don't you have faith in Krishna? When Arjuna was not ready to fight, he was in a situation like this devotee was. Who was answering the question. But Krishna said, you do it on my behalf, man. He said, you are a fool if you think like that. You do it on my behalf. And he spoke the whole Gita. Yesterday was the holy occasion of Gita Jayanti. The whole Gita was spoken to tell Arjun that you having lot of faith in yourself, Arjun. You are just too thinking about yourself. Me this, I can't see this, I can't. Forget I. Think of me, I am there. You do it for my pleasure. And Krishna spoke this beautiful Gita and Arjuna felt empowered. And Arjuna could do amazing things in that battlefield. He could even defeat Bhishma Dev. Of course, not without Krishna's help. Bhishma said you can't defeat Bhishma. Nobody could defeat Bhishma. He was powerful. But Arjun was, because Krishna was there, and of course the whole wonderful Mahabharata story is there. So we forget the Krishna factor. We must understand that Krishna is profusely present in our lives. Guru Kripa, Krishna Kripa, Vaishnava Kripa. These three Kripas are profusely present with us. Why should you worry? Does it answer your question? The only problem with this chit is I can't ask, does it answer your question? So I guess it answers. Generally, in a growth process, if something goes wrong, it is difficult to set it right. Similarly, even after coming to Krishna consciousness, if we are not able to grow properly, do many mistakes, getting distracted, how can we get hope that we can overcome it and set it right without getting depressed? No, I agree that in a growth process, you might not be able to correct it, but the power of Krishna conscious process is so wonderful that it can really help you. Yes, the reason why you can't change it, that's why it's extremely important that all of you have a proper understanding of Krishna consciousness at the beginning years of Krishna consciousness, and you practice the whole process properly. But even if you have, for some reason, got distracted, Pangum langa teglim yat kripatamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarina. You have a distraction. Here the verse says, even a lame man can cross mountains, a blind man, what is it? A dumb man can recite eloquent poetry. The power of Guru Kripa, we have, and that's why I said none of us have really faith or experience in the power of Guru Kripa, in the power of Vaishnava Kripa, or in the power of Krishna Kripa. We still have doubts. We still have faith in ourselves, but because this Kripa is so much, you could have unlimited faults. But the moment Krishna comes, the Krishna factor comes, all your faults are finished. You take complete shelter of Krishna. It's like, when there is wood, even the not so much of a wood also gets completely burnt 100%. Similarly, all your faults are burnt when you have surrendered to Krishna, when you take shelter of Guru. So don't get depressed as long as you are seriously taking shelter of Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy, Vaishnava's mercy, and that's why I said this whole process is a day-to-day, minute-to-minute surrender to this mercy which is available. And how do you take Guru's mercy in the morning? You should ask yourself, walking in the morning, how do I take Guru's mercy? Guru's mercy in the morning is available by chanting Hare Krishna. Morning time is chanting, so take your beads, become fresh, take a shower, and sit to chant, and absorb your consciousness in the holy name. Then when you go to your college, what is the best way to get Guru's mercy now? By being the best student. Then when you are on a satsang, in the evening, or some preacher has come to your college and giving preaching lectures. So what is the best way to get Guru mercy? To absorb this Vaishnava Sangam, to take shelter of this Vaishnava Sangam. That's the best way to take Guru's mercy. What is the best way to take mercy in the night? Sleep early in the morning, sleep as early as you can. So get up early in the morning. So at every minute you have to ask yourself, what is the best way I can serve Krishna now? And that is on a micro level, on a day-to-day basis, and on a macro level, on a year-to-year basis, or a decade-to-decade basis. You can ask Krishna. You can ask your authorities, how best I can serve Krishna now. So after you pass your graduation, what best you can do now? Like I just say example. Like we had Paramahansa Prabhu, Radhesham Prabhu, and Gaurang Prabhu, all three in IIT college. All three were friends. And a few others also. Radhesham Prabhu was inspired. He was asking this question all the time, and he was inspired to become a renunciant, a brahmachari, go to Pune and did amazing things in Pune, and still doing. Gauranga Prabhu was inspired to stay in Bombay and is doing amazing, astounding things in Mumbai. Paramahansa Prabhu joined the ashram. At one point of time he asked Krishna and he felt it was best to serve by going out of the ashram. He gets married. Now he's serving as a deputy director in Bhaktivedanta Hospital, doing amazing service. And I don't see there's any much difference in between the three of them. All three IIT students. All three doing phenomenally wonderful service. So on a year to year, decade to decade, to ask Krishna and wait for the honest. And if you have an honest heart, you will get the honest answer. You will hear the Chaitya Guru. You will hear your consciousness telling you what to do. And you follow your consciousness with proper blessings of Guru and Krishna, you can do wonderful things. Hare Krishna. How can we just read this? Being normal in our Krishna consciousness life is like a great art. Previously we were habituated to be swayed away by negative distractions only. Now is happening that positive distractions. What should we do till this act of being normal develops? Being normal is a very normal activity. It doesn't have to be developed, it is already there. It is sort of forgotten or suppressed by your abnormal activities. So that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, that just being normal is such a far out thing for us right now. We're scratching our brain, how to be normal? In one sense, that means all of you are a bunch of abnormal people. Isn't it? I mean, you can see how this material world is such a, it's such a, Krishna must be laughing at this question. I'm nothing wrong with the question, please understand, but what we are talking about is how rare it has become to be normal. Then we have to figure out, kaisa banega normal? And you're scratching your brains. Sometimes you might be doing a PhD, how to become normal. One of you can take up a PhD topic, how to become normal human being. Yeah, but please understand, at every point of time, you have to ask that what is the best thing to do at this time. And with your fertile Krishna consciousness and with your fertile Vaishnava guidance, when you execute something properly, that's normal activity. Many times we tend to make things very, very complicated. Life, what is it? What is the nature of the mind? To make simple things complicated. Right? Something very simple, the mind says, how can it be so simple? And makes it very, very complicated. How can I be so easily normal? But actually, is it difficult? I mean, just imagine a normal day of all of you. I'm just trying to take you through a normal day. You get up in the morning, without complicating your mind, and you set up the alarm, and not getting up in the morning when the alarm rings is being abnormal. That's how it begins, believe me. Because the nature of the mind is to delay things, but the nature of the intelligence is to do what is right. So getting up, the right normal thing to do is get up in the morning. But what has become normal? To get up at 11 o'clock has become normal in our hostels. If you get up at 4, it is very abnormal. To sleep at 2 o'clock in the night is normal. I used to stay in a hostel. You sleep at 8 o'clock in 8 p.m. Everyone crazy. The life in hostel starts at 8 p.m. I don't know about what your hostels are, but I mean, and then the life goes on till 2 a.m. Then people sleep, but that's abnormal. You know that? So every time you ask yourself, and believe me, normalcy is not a rocket science. It's just very simple. I mean, I don't know how I'm able to, because it's just so simple. There's no way to explain it also. It's just so simple. But I'll still try to explain. So for example, it's just so normal that, if your friend is sick at 4:30 in the morning, you have to take him to the hospital. Will you sit to chant your rounds, or you will take him to the hospital? Exactly. There is no question of thinking of chanting around even when it is 4:30 a.m. I've been told to chant at 4:30. Okay, at any cost chant. Let that guy die, but I'll chant. Is it difficult to decide? Right? It is normal behavior, right? But believe me, we make something similar situations. We make it so complicated that something which is obvious, we don't do that. I've given a very obvious situation, but our life, there are such obvious situations. When it's exam time, not going to the particular satsang program because you have studies, it is not abnormal. If I don't go, is it Vaishnava Prad? The devotee will come, and if I don't go, what will he think? And he will ask for me. I'm just giving a situation. I don't know what happens in your case, but you have to study, and it's exam time. It is normal that you study. Nobody is going to think aparad if you don't come to a program. Are you getting it? So normalcy is just, it's actually common sense. Being normal is having common sense to do the common things. But Krishna consciousness, sometimes we make it very complicated. And as this simple story was there, right? Sachinanda Maharaj writes in his book, the chanting book. He says that there was one insect who had 200 legs, the small centipede or whatever, caterpillar, and he was dancing very nicely, very nicely. So somebody asked, I said, how do you dance so nicely? Do you put your 163rd leg in the front, and then the 144th, and then the 72nd, and then the 55th? I say, I didn't think of all these things. Next time I'll think. So then next time when he was dancing, he was very conscious which leg is putting in the front, and he couldn't dance properly. And that Sachinanda Maharaj calls it paralysis through analysis. He calls this syndrome as paralysis through analysis, that you become so analytical in your life that you become practically paralyzed and you don't understand what to do. But as I say, for caterpillar it was natural to dance. But because somebody asked, he became so conscious of the steps and became very analytical and caused paralysis through his life. Right? So we must understand that normalcy of life is just something, and if you don't understand how to be normal, you approach normal devotees. Yeah, please understand. Don't do a mistake. You approach normal devotees. Hopefully you will find many normal devotees who will guide you properly on what should you do. And then once you learn by experience, then you know, okay, how to be normal. It doesn't really apply to you, but it is normal for this. We talk in Grihastha seminar. It is normal for husband to take care of the wife. Many of you may get married in the future. Hopefully, you must. If many of you should, it's normal. But many times we think, and the husbands, they become so paranoid. Whether I should take care of my wife? I'll be in Maya. Then butter and fire syndrome and all. So all this philosophy comes into your mind, and then you become very. But it's normal. You just have faith in your Krishna consciousness that you will not get attached, and you do something about it. But be normal. I think all of you are more confused than what you began, I guess. I don't know. Many more questions, and we have to end.
1:30.
What should we do till this? Prabhuji, many times we see that our culture is different from non-devotee relatives, friends. Just like onion, garlic, tea, coffee, watching movies, talking about girls and how to become normal in the situation. Don't do that. As I said, being normal means not to compromise. It is not normal to compromise. Please understand that. Oh my God, I hope I didn't confuse you more. I'm feeling more. Radheshyam Prabhu will never call me again, I think. I said, this guy confuses more than... Please, obviously you can't do that. I didn't tell you to eat onion garlic. Did I tell you? Did I tell you to drink tea, coffee? When I say normal means, it's not that what people do outside, you start doing that. Normal means, oh my God, I'm just... You can't watch movies. Obviously, you can't watch movies, and you can't talk to girls unless until the girl is your sister. By the way. So you obviously should not do that. And I've got talking to girls is not that it's a big upra. Oh, I talked to a girl. Oh my God. Oh, Vishnu. If the need, you do it and forget it. The story is there. That two people, they were crossing the river, and one lady approached. Can you help me cross the river? Can you put me on your back? And they oh, I can't touch you. I'm a sadhu. But the person said, okay, climb my back. We'll go. After 2 days, they said, how can you? After 2 days, this other guy is saying, how can you climb? Take that lady. I said, I kept the lady 2 days back, and I've forgotten about what you are still carrying in your mind. So please, if what we are saying is that you obviously cannot compromise your Krishna consciousness. Any activity which is compromising should be rejected. If you go to a relative's house and they offer you tea and say, oh, Shridama Das has told me to normal, so normalcy should not be confused with compromise. Because what people are living outside is a compromised life that you should absolutely reject. That's why, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, and then what is that sloka? What is the next sloka? Ati ahar prayasa se prajalpo niyamagra janga sanga se lolyam. Those verses still exist when I talk about normalcy. It is not that those verses cease to exist in normalcy. Ati ahar prayasascha prajalpo niyamagra janasangascha lalyamcha sadvir bhakti vinashyati. That does exist. It will destroy your spiritual life. And if you do this, you are abnormal, my friend. If you are doing any of these activities, watching a movie is abnormal for a devotee. Eating onion and garlic is abnormal, is compromised life. If people do it, they may do it. If you have influence, you can influence them. If you can't, leave them alone. I am talking about normalcy is in the sense you can't just be compromising on life, but in your own behavior. As I said, you should be strict with yourself. Didn't I say that? That means strict means you cannot even, look at onions. You can't even look at a poster of a television. A poster. You may look at, but you can't go to a movie theater. Right? Ideally, you should not look at it also. That's how strict you should be. But if your cousin is saying, let's go for a movie, you can't just, you are rascal, useless, let him know what to do. You can't influence people, right? You can't just go with them, but you can't, if your parents are going, you can't just give a Bhagavad class to them for 1 hour. And suppose your parents have bought a movie ticket. Will you condemn them for being of your parent because they go for a movie? That's what I said. If you condemn them to be useless rascals for going for a movie, and you forget all the wonderful things that are as parents that they have done for you, that's abnormal behavior. Does this make sense to you? Isn't it right? So being strict with yourself, you have to be, as I said, you have to be a pakka sadhaka, a strict, devout, chaste Gaudiya Vaishnava. No question of compromising. But Prabhupada was like that. When he went to America, he was strict with himself, but he was very lenient. He allowed the drug addicts to come to his, and they were now, Prabhupada was not very, this was normal behavior for Prabhupada. You understand? He was strict. But he allowed people. But in due course he said, 4 regulatory principles, no compromise. If you want to be Krishna conscious, these are the 4 principles. No 3.5, no 3, 4. All 4, 100%. Right? That's important. So normalcy should not be confused with compromising. If you compromise, you will fall into Maya. 100%. How to become an exemplary son of a parent by being Krishna conscious? I am not able to fulfill what they tell and desire, which is not Krishna conscious. Should I follow whatever they say? And I am not saying that. So, see, again, specific situations. This is a very specific situation which you are in, and to give a specific reply to a specific question will be difficult. You need to have a specific guide guiding you. But, obviously, if your parents currently, they are telling you to compromise Krishna consciousness, you should be intelligent enough to really, love them but not follow them. There's a wonderful system. There's a wonderful way you can deal with people, that you respect them and love them, but you don't necessarily follow them. You don't have to be cruel to somebody to not follow them. Many times we just make everything black and white, because our mind is very binary, 0 or 1. Either I like, I don't like. There's nothing in between. That's the nature of the material world, by the way. The current Western understanding is either you like it or you don't like it. It's all very binary. There is no colorful life. But by the way, there's between black and white, there's a whole shade of gray. You're getting it? Life is not binary. Similarly, the parents, obviously some aspect of their life, of what they say may be black, but there are many aspects which are white, which they have done for you. So you have to properly balance the whole thing, take proper guidance, and do the needful. I'm not telling that to be normal. Okay, Father, please tell me what should I do. We respect, but sometimes out of respect and out of love for them, you don't do what they say all them, knowing very well it's not good for them. In due course, they will appreciate it. So of course, this requires guidance of a specific type. So I think whoever's asked these questions can take specific guidance from his authorities. But it's an important question. Important question. Dealing with parents is important. You told to some with non-devotees, but we told not to associate with them. You told to associate.
Normal.
No, not normal. Something else.
Same. To be same.
You told to be same with the non-devotees. I didn't say that. But we are told not to associate with them. So often, because they may degrade your consciousness. What is your suggestion? Obviously, as I said, the principles still fall with it, that jana sangasya lolyam cha. If you associate with non-devotees, you will be degraded. But does it mean that if your project partner is a non-devotee, you will not associate with him? I say, oh, do will you do that? You will associate. As I said, Prabhupada, we made it very simple. Do the needful. Don't try to have pleasures in the things that they find pleasure in. You do the work and then do the needful. They're very simple. So, obviously you are not going to always have devotees around you. When you're working in an office, you will not have devotees around. If you're working in a project, you will not have devotees around. So does it mean you should not associate with them? Means you should have only devotees around? No. Till the time the whole world is not a devotee, we'll have to still have this problem. Right? So, do the needful. Do your project. Get your work done. Try to not take his negativities, and try to give whatever positivity you have to him if possible. And Purna Habe Kam. Finish your work. What is the difficulty? There is no problem. Hare Krishna. How can we be hard-hearted to those non-devotees who seems to be envious to Krishna and try to pull your leg? How can we not be? How can we not be hard-hearted to non-devotees? See, how can we not be? We don't have to be hard-hearted to non-devotees. Either we ignore them, or if you have the capacity, you can be compassionate to them, or you face them. But in all the three, you don't need to be hard-hearted. And hard-hearted means you hate them. Why should you hate anybody? This again the scenario of the current Western civilization. I hate you. And it takes a lot of effort to hate somebody. But it becomes so normal now. I hate this, I hate him, I hate this, right? It's just so normal. I hate this. But if you think deeper, Is it required to hate something? You can ignore that. I said, I don't want to follow this. We don't want to hate somebody. So hard-heartedness means to hate somebody. But, so, when a non-devotee seems to be envious of Krishna and try to pull their leg, so best, if you don't have the capacity, you just leave the place. You just say, okay, I don't want to deal with you, my dear friend, because, you are not sure about how you are going to get affected by this, then leave the place. Or you enter into a healthy discussion or argument with that person. If you have the capacity. But at no point you have to be hard-hearted to them. That's not required. A devotee is not hard-hearted to anybody. And one of the qualities of a devotee is komal hridaya. He has a soft heart. At least he tries to develop a soft heart. So there is a question of hard-heartedness in that komal hridaya and hard heart. Not possible. Last. Sometimes we encounter situations, but the only problem is with this, have people been satisfied? I'm just answering questions, but sometimes when you ask like this, you can ask. Sometimes we encounter situations where pleasing our parents displeases our authorities or our counselor. Oh my God. A weak student going to tuitions in an environment not favorable to nourishing Krishna, what should the weak student do? Now, and I would honestly question the authority and the counselor here if they are displeased with a person who is trying to please his parents. It's something, you can't just, authority has to have the maturity not to be displeased. He might be concerned, but it cannot be displeased, because then we're starting a wrong trend of showing to the people that if you want to please the authorities, then you have to displease your parents or displease anything which is not Krishna conscious. But that's not the trend that we want to start. So a weak student going to a tuition in an environment not favorable to Krishna consciousness. See, as I said, we are going to be in the world where majority of the people are not Krishna conscious. We have to learn to live in a non-favorable environment. You have to learn to survive in this hard world. You cannot be protected all the time. Am I right? Would you always be you are brahmachari, are you always in a protected environment? People who are having jobs, if tomorrow you are going to take a job, are you going to be having a devotee company, having Gaudiya Tilak and doing 16 rounds before they start their 9 o'clock job? No. It's a cruel world outside. You need to have what is it called? Survival instincts. You need to have survival instincts. And if you are in the forest, if there's a weak animal, you need to learn to survive with these huge animals. Every animal learns to survive in the forest. Either deer learns to survive by his speed. The wolves learn to survive by his smell. Everybody dies with a tiger around. They all survive happily around. Why? Because they learn to survive. Similarly, my dear friends, as devotees, we need to learn to survive in this cruel world. You are not going to be always Krishna conscious. So tomorrow, if you are going to be scared going to a tuition which is non-devotee environment, then my question is, how strong is your Krishna consciousness? What are you doing with your sadhana? Do we not have faith in the process? You simply have faith in yourself. What about the process? What about the K factor as we discussed? I think we should end. No, we will end now. He's breaking the heart of, oh my God, parents. He's breaking the heart of parents by joining Brahmacharya ashram, hard-hearted or not. Ask Govind Prabhu. I'm not a brahmachari, so I've never done this. Bring the heart of parents by joining Brahmacharya ashram. If you're doing, if you do proper guidance, you will be guided how to do this. It is not just black and white. That I join the Brahmacharya ashram and I break the heart of a parent. We are divided into two activities: Brahmacharya ashram and parents. There's a whole process how to do it, and that's why we have seen many times people have been asked to stay at home, even though they want to be brahmacharis, to take care of the parents. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that. He told Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt, right, to take care of his father And till the time he left his body, he took care of his father, and then he became Goswami. Of course, his father was a devotee. You can always say, oh, he was a devotee. But in general, we have seen, even in the normal trend, what I have seen in the ashram, that the devotees are guided properly based on a particular time-based circumstance that the parents are. They have been told to do the right things. Because as the devotee community is growing and maturing, there is a much more mature understanding of doing things. It is not just to be done in an abrupt way, with proper guidance, with proper blessings. Because we understand, I was hearing a class by His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, that anything that you do, you need proper blessings. So if you are doing this also, if you are doing it a proper guidance and blessings, then this whole act can be done in a way where parents would understand why you are doing what you are doing and things like that. So there's a whole science to it, which is beyond the scope of this answering for me to tackle. But yes, you must take proper guidance and not do it whimsically. That's what I can definitely say. Can devotees give Lakshmi to beggars if they don't have prasadam with them? Yes, 100% they should give Lakshmi to the beggars. This is your question? So, see, again, we don't want to be, we don't want to end up this discussion into rituals. Can I do this? Can I do that? Use your own fertile brains. Please understand, we are telling you the important principles. Use it. If you try to ask a question to me and I say yes or no, it's difficult to really, many times devotees want, tell me yes or no. But they want ready-made answers, But it is not, when a speaker is speaking, usually the principles are spoken and then principles are expected to be applied in a particular situation. If you're asking this, best is to carry prasadam. But if you don't have, give some amount of Lakshmi. At least it shows kind of. This is because I remember, this is many years back. We were in this hall and Radhanath Swami was giving his talk to us. And he said that at one point of time in Mumbai, devotees were crying when he spoke that. In Bombay, when I was at the Cross Maidan, I wanted the Krishna book so badly and I couldn't buy it because I didn't have money. Because he wanted the Krishna book, Giriraj Maharaj was selling. He said, I wanted that book. And he said, then I started doing begging, bakshish. He was asking for bhiksha. And he became a beggar in Bombay. And then he said, once I got the money, then I bought the Krishna book. So he said that at one point of time, I was also a beggar in Mumbai. So of course I so what I'm saying is, a devotee is soft, and whatever inspires you in your heart, you should do that. So it's just too specific for me to answer, but do whatever is a devotee should do. Last 5 minutes, How can we judge whether we are growing in a right manner, angle or not? If I feel I am growing properly always, I feel I am growing properly always, I don't whether I am growing right way or not. How to know? So you are growing but you are not. So that's why we constantly have this this barometer or of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, or where you judge how you are growing. And Nama Ruchi, Jiva Doya and Vaishnav Seva. If these three things are wholesomely growing in your heart, not just one thing, Jiva Doya, Nama Ruchi and Vaishnav Seva, then you should understand that your growth is in a right angle. It's perfect, 108 degrees angle. It is growing at 108 degrees properly towards Krishna. But if you are just trying to be Nama Ruchi, and no Jiva Doya, or rather being cruel to the Jivas and being cruel to Vaishnavas, then it is wrong growth. Or the other way. So it has to be balanced. If it is all properly balanced by Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, and all the three things are Nam, Ruchi, Jiva, Doya, Vaishnava is happening, then you should know that you are growing properly. And basically you ask yourself, are you satisfied with yourself? Have you done this self-introspection anytime in your life? I'm sure you must have. If not, you should do it. Just ask yourself, because sometimes you know what you are. Even your counselor or your guide doesn't know what you are, because you don't tell everything to that person. You know, are you satisfied? And you realize that yes, I'm not satisfied with my current state, but I know that if I continue what I'm doing, I will reach that state. You might not be happy with your negativities right now, because there are so many. But at least the process you are satisfied that what I'm doing is fine. You are happy. You are rightly situated. If you ask Amal Mahaprabhu Prabhu, are you happy? And you feel naturally happy of what you are doing. Satisfied. The bliss is seen on his face. Then you should know that, yeah, you are in the right direction. You might be struggling, no doubt, but you are in the right direction. Are you getting my point? So the basic satisfaction, the basic happiness, the basic bliss of Krishna consciousness should be there. It's not that what is that? Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. The natural outcome of Krishna consciousness is that you are a happy devotee. You are happy struggling. That's why you asked Anand Vrindavan Prabhu, one of our leading devotees here, Prabhuji, how are you? He said, happy but struggling. He always says that. So he doesn't want people to misunderstand that he's happy, but he's happy because he doesn't need to struggle anymore. He said, I'm struggling because I'm a struggling devotee, but I'm happy struggling. So if a basic satisfaction is there in your heart, what you are doing, and is it not many times you feel, oh, I'm happy. Fine, I'm not happy with my attraction to lust. I'm not happy with my anger though, but I'm happy with the practice. I'm chanting. I'm trying to chant as much sincerely as I can. There's one thing, we should never be satisfied with what we can do, because we can always do more. But there's also, we can be happy with what you are doing. There's no harm. It is not a dangerous thing to be happy with what you are doing. Many times devotees feel, oh, can I be happy with what I'm doing? Yeah, you should be happy. Otherwise, how can you continue doing what you are doing? So I think I need to end, because there is something waiting for me at the other side of the town. So I really thank all of you. I hope I didn't confuse you more. Yes or no? No. Sure. Yeah. So please, I strongly felt that I should address this issue, because you all are such nice. You are growing your wonderful Bhaktilata Beej. Your plant is growing, and if it grows in a right angle, as somebody mentioned, in a proper angle with proper understanding, with wholesome growth, and you can be you can be amazing asset to Srila Prabhupada and to the mission of ISKCON. So I thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Gopinath ki.
Hare Krishna.